So hi everyone, 大家好，欢迎参加 Lunch and Learn 午间中文。I'm Shenzhan Liao, in charge of the education programs at China Institute. This Lunch and Learn has been an ongoing online free program monthly for the past 3 years. It's really great to see so many old friends, your wonderful faces. Feel free to turn on your camera or not. And especially also we have new friends joining in. This is welcome as well. So I will just quickly, we typically have a poem that we read aloud together. You can keep your camera and mic on, or you can turn them off, because you will hear me or someone who's leading the read aloud, but listen to your own pronunciation, so you will follow. You can practice that way. And also we have been practicing etymology, learning etymology and practicing Chinese character for the past few sessions. However, today we have a special guest artist who will instead showcase brush painting. Some of you may have got the reminder from the program that there's a basic set for brush painting. We just think it will be great to have some variety. For this session and next session, we will instead have brush painting workshop, and you may choose to get the tools to follow, or it's more of a observation and there will be Q&A. I will introduce our special guest artist later. For the first half, we're still doing the poem and the read aloud, and the second half, we will go into the brush painting workshop. Again, this is a teamwork. I'm here with my team. 林永强林老师，你在哪里？
我在这里。大家好，新朋友、老朋友，欢迎来到午间中文。
And 我可以看到梦云，梦云你在哪里？
在这里，大家好。欢迎大家来到 Lunch and Learn。
还有丽彤。
Hello， 大家好，很高兴见到大家。
Yeah. All right, so I will start sharing the screen and let's get started. Let's see. Please bear with me for a few seconds. Forget about all the work emails I just showed you. 好的 Lunch and Learn. Today for the spring, we are continuing the theme, birds and flowers. In fact, starting this March at China Institute, if you happen in New York City, please come to China Institute. We are very excited to open this exhibition on flowers on the river, 河上花, focusing on the masterworks of flowers and birds paintings in Ming and Qing dynasty. That's 14th to early 20th century. There will be 100 masterpieces, including 8 women artists in this exhibition. This picture that you show is it's the centerpiece for this exhibition by Zhu Da, also called 八大山人. This work, we are only seeing in part the details, but I would invite you to picture yourself in front of the real work. So if you are in New York City, this exhibition will be on from March 23rd to June 25th. If you stop by, please let me or Lin Lao Shi know. It will be wonderful to greet you and meet you in person at China Institute while we are going through the exhibition. As well, we've been connected through Zoom for all this time. Today we are reading 春望 by, we are very familiar with this poet, 杜甫. Sorry, the light is off. Okay, coming back now. 杜甫. Well, this is not the first time we are reading his poem. He's one of the greatest and most important Tang Dynasty, or the most important poet throughout China's poetry history. The translation is by Stephen Owen. We have introduced him as well, who's specifically focusing on Chinese literature at Harvard University, and he dedicated an entire anthology on Du Fu's poem. So if you are interested in Du Fu, you can look into the book by Stephen Owen. As usual, let's take a look at the poem together in its entirety. I will read the poem through, and please take a look at the English translation side by side. And we can read this together, and then I will go into line by line, and we can read it together again. 春望 国破山河在，城春草木深。感时花溅泪，恨别鸟惊心。烽火连三月，家书抵万金。白头搔更短，浑欲不胜簪。So just another few seconds for getting the translation. And as you can see, this poem is not the usual birds and flowers delicacy, fine, the beautiful scene of the spring. But again, flowers and birds can carry some heavy feelings and related to the kingdoms or the tragedies that the poet was going through, or how we feel about our own environment. So this one, my question, 这是绝句还是律诗？绝句 quatrain or 律诗 regulated verse? 有没有谁知道？ Anyone who can answer? 绝句 quatrain 还是律诗？ How many lines?
Quatrain.
Quatrain 对的，绝句。Oh no, sorry. Any other answers?
律诗。
律诗。Wow. Well, it looks like, well, we have 4 lines, right? But it's actually 8, because, well, for the purpose of putting everything on one page, we put 2 lines. This is a pair. The first 2 lines, a pair, and then we altogether have 8 lines. It's a regulated verse, 律诗。绝句 would be only 4 lines. Again, 这是5言还是7言？5言，1、2、3、4、5 ，or 7言。
7言。
7言还是5言？1、2、3、4、
5言。5言。
对的，对的。So this is a 5言律诗, a pentasyllabic regulated verse. And let's go into the individual line. Again, I will pause after each character for the first time, and then I will pause after one line, and we can practice twice together. 国
我
破
破
山河在城春草木深国破山河在
国破山河在，
城春草木深。
城春草木深。
很好，很好。Yeah, this line is instantly bring us to some chaotic scene. Well, just a little background. This poem was written in 757 AD. So if anyone is familiar with the Tang Dynasty history, can you recall any major event that happened right before, a couple of years before this poem was written?
Rebellion.
Yeah, 谁回答的? I cannot, there was a little, 是什么 rebellion?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
安禄山, 谢谢 Patrick, 安禄山 rebellion, 对的. Started An Lushan rebellion, we mentioned that very briefly before, from 755 to 763, right? Patrick, 你可以稍微介绍一下安禄山 rebellion 吗?
I'm just beginning to learn Chinese, but I studied a little Tang poetry several years ago and learned about a bit of the history.
So what is An Lushan rebellion?
One of the.
Can you summarize?
Yeah, I think it was a general in the Tang court had grown very powerful, and his family grew very powerful, and eventually there was some tensions over that, and a rebellion began and destroyed a lot of the cities in China, including the capital.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's very briefly, that's a major rebellion that actually weakened the powerful Tang Dynasty. Thanks for sharing, Patrick. Then it really puts us in the context of even just starting from the first line. 国破, 国 is the kingdom, is also the capital. 国破山河在, 城春草木深. It's the spring scene, but well, we are looking at the country, the cities that with a lot of wounds, right? Okay, next line. 赶,
使
花剑泪恨别鸟惊心赶时花溅泪
导致花溅泪，
恨别鸟惊心。
恨别鸟惊心。
很好。So I have a question for everyone. Who's moved? And who feels the despair at the departure or at the separation?
you first know that in the end of the poem.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more? What's the...
Well, because it goes from the natural scene, a nature scene, and then it comes into the war that has been going on for 3 months, and where a message from home is like worth 10,000 pieces of gold. So there's a shift going on where who is talking about this, the view of the one who's talking first in the second half of the poem.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's more explanation that what we can understand for why there's this heavy feeling that's expressed in this line, right? But also these two lines are very typical for Chinese poetry. There are usually no subject, there's no word in the lines that actually indicates the subject. The subject is omitted. So you could say it's the poet who's writing this poem that's moved, and then project the feelings to the flowers. It's the poet who may feel the despair at departing and project the feeling to the birds. Because, well, it's all birds and flowers are in nature, and how the poet would associate or connect the feelings to these natural creatures, or whether it's only the poet. Could it be the readers? Could it be people that's not necessarily experiencing that particular event and moment, but can relate regardless, right?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because, well, if you look at the whole poem, but the first 4 lines, it's kind of, for me at least, because you said there's no verbs and so on, you have the first 2 characters, go po, and then cheng tun, gan shi, hen die. That's kind of leading the rest of the sentence. So you kind of get the idea, although there's nothing connecting it, but it kind of eats the idea, I think, that is divided, as far as I can see, in 2 parts every line. The first 2 characters and then the 3 characters coming after, which is kind of pushing it forward. Anyway, that's just a question. Am I off the wall, or what do you think?
Well, thank you for sharing your observations. It's precisely it's like I would say to me, because everyone would feel differently. To me, it just instantly, 国破山河在，城春草木深. It's showing the scenery. It's instantly bring me as a reader into this sad and with desperation scene. And then gan and hen both are characters for emotions and strong emotions that also instantly bring me into that kind of feelings. And you are absolutely right. There is a rhythm there. 国破. You could pause a little bit when you read this poem. 国破山河在，城春草木深. And then there is next 2 lines. 感时花溅泪，恨别鸟惊心. There's a meter. The classical poetry, the rhyming, the meter, that all works into how you feel. It pushes you to feel, and also to the next scene that we will read together, and it explains. There's more narrative, more stories coming out now. So together, 风火莲三月
月
家
家
书
书
底
里
万
万
金
金
sorry 烽火连三月
烽火连三月，
家书抵万金
家书抵万金。
And then the next one 白
白
头
头
遭更短浑玉不oh sorry 不正
上
三 So this bu changes the tone because of the sheng is the fourth tone. So bu sheng, it's together. That's how this character changes the pronunciation. There's certain rules to behind that. So 白头搔更短浑欲不胜簪很好
I have a question. Didn't we read a poem a while back by somebody who might have been in jail about this same rebellion, and it was about the waterfall?
Okay, we did talk about the rebellion, and there were poets who were in jail, and actually was considered to be sort of like, well, a treason, right?
Yeah.
I cannot remember the specific poem. If anybody can help.
What I do remember is that he likened his fall from grace to the fall of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
3,000 li.
Oh. Yeah, I cannot remember that particular. Well, if it comes back, well, we can talk about that. But it's still, well, when we read classical Chinese poems, oftentimes, well, the scenery or the items are from the nature.
Yeah.
It's very typical, but it's all about people's feeling. It's the poet who's at the center of each poem that connects the nature and how the world works for the poet, him or herself. So this is the world that's created. It's full of nature, but the nature is not objective. The nature is full of particular feelings that's expressed through the characters, the way that the characters put together. So we can go through the entire poem together. I would invite my two colleagues to read this poem later again, because, well, you would see how especially the sound would be different. So let's do this one more time again. And Mengyun, do you want to lead the reading in standard Mandarin? Again, let's just review the entire poem.
好的。好，春望，国破山河在，城春草木深。感时花溅泪，恨别鸟惊心。烽火连三月，家书抵万金。白头搔更短，
共短，
抬头搔
浑
更
欲
更短
不胜簪。
浑欲不
又
胜
不胜簪。
So when we were selecting this poem and reading it as a team, all of us, the four of us, well, we felt the last two lines actually got out of the rhythm, the pronunciation, and it seems like it's the flow for the first three pairs were pretty much there, and then suddenly the last two lines are a little bit out of the rhythm. Well, it works for the regulated verses because, well, usually the middle two pairs are most strict. You have to follow very strict rhyming scheme. But the first pair and the last pair, the poet usually have a little bit of flexibility. But for this poem, I would also invite my colleague Li Tong to read in Cantonese, because still Cantonese compared to standard Mandarin, it reserves more of the sound, the pronunciation from ancient time. Because well, we don't know how Du Fu really the pronunciation like he himself would use at the time, right? So by hearing a different sound, we can see how the variety of the pronunciation would make a difference. When we read this poem today, the feeling of the rhyming would be how different that would be. 好的，丽彤 could you take the lead and just read?
好，听得见吗？大家
可以的。
OK， 好。春望杜甫，國破山河在，城春草木深。感時花濺淚，恨別鳥驚心。烽火連三月，家書抵萬金。白頭搔更短，渾欲不勝簪。
好的，谢谢。All right. So this is the read aloud part. Let me work on the.
May I ask a question?
Sure. Just 1 second. Sorry. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Yep.
Yes. Since hi.
Hello.
Since she read it in Guangdonghua, could you emphasize the characters that differ? That is, those that have rusheng, so that we know how it differs, particularly by character. Or well, mainly it's at the end of the phrase, is it not?
Yeah, Li Tong. Well, the Li Tong can amend, but the particular one we are focusing on is this zan, because well, in Mandarin Chinese it's zan. The end of the pronunciation, we actually the mouth is open, zan in Mandarin Chinese. But well, for the first several pairs, let me go back to this. So for example, even in Mandarin, standard Mandarin Chinese, shen, jin, xin, the sound is more closed when we pronounce them. However, in Cantonese, zan, well, even though it starts with the an sound, the end of it is still closed. And Li Tong, could you just read the last line in Cantonese, please?
Oh, yes, and Liao, I want to mention a question because I do a little bit searching and then I discovered that 不胜簪 should be read in 不胜簪 because due to the 平仄. So in Cantonese, this sentence will be 渾欲不勝簪, 簪, the last word.
Yeah, thank you. So that the sound, even with zan with Cantonese, it's still sort of like, well, the mouth is closed. That would keep the rhyming more inconsistent. Yeah, that's just one example. We actually have to go into the next session, the brush painting. I want to just close the sharing part, and let me introduce our guest artist, Sang-suk. Hello, Sang-suk. Hi. Hi. So Sang-suk, well, you may have met Sang-suk at Langchen Learn from a couple of years ago, or through the brush painting class at China Institute. Sang-suk has been our beloved faculty at China Institute, teaching brush painting for many years, as well as, well, she's a faculty at the Art League of Long Island. She's Korean American artist and calligrapher. She has trained in brush painting and calligraphy under both Chinese and Korean masters. Also studied Western art in Germany, UK, and the United States. And her work has been widely exhibited in Canada, UK, China, Taiwan, and Korea. So it's our great honor to have Sang-suk here. She's sitting in her studio. That's where she teaches her brush painting class. And for the next half an hour, Sang-suk will take over the screen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm good to go.
Yeah, when we talked about this session and next session, because the theme is flowers and birds. So this session we will focus on flowers.
Yeah, okay. All right, so my topic today is the camellia flower. Are you familiar with this flower? So it looks like this. I mean, comes with different color, some red, some pink, some white, some purple. I didn't see the purple myself, but apparently it does exist. So, all the colors are beautiful. This flower symbolizes in China, according to, this. So I can tell you what that means. Is that true in southern part of China? This is regarded as national flower. That's what I read here. But anyhow, it symbolizes young sons and daughters. And so each country has some different meaning. Camellia flower is highly regarded in China. In general, camellia has a meaning of passion, refinement, and excellency and longevity and faithfulness. All these good meanings, okay? So that's what it is. And so in terms of brush painting, I can show you how you can approach this. Do you have materials, by the way? No. Anyone is trying with me?
Yes, I'm trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will show you some different technique, okay? So one is theoretically, you can do two different styles. You can approach outlining style or without, some camellia has this light pink color exists, and also there's a single one and then double one. There are variety. Apparently what I read is about 300 different kinds of camellia. So, I mean, I happen to have a 2 camellia bush in the garden, and I have a double one as well as single one. So it's, the leaves stays all year round green. So it's actually very beautiful. So I kept it very near the house. So it actually blooms in the late winter and early spring. So sometimes it even blooms during the snowy winter. So so you can imagine it. It didn't bloom in this part of the world yet, but I'll show you how this works. Okay, so if you have a brush, you see if you have something like this kind of brush, and then I have this, I'm bringing in this ink here, and then you can dilute a little bit with the water. Yeah, okay. And you soak it totally, okay, like that. And then you take off little water like this. So my brush is right now relatively light, like this, okay? And I'm going to add a tiny tip of the brush, a little bit darker tone, okay? So I need to create some different tones, okay? So I'm blending it. So my brush tone will be something like this. You see some dark and some light. So that's what you need to have first, okay? So it's a grading of tone. Okay, now I'm going to make sure after that you can take off more water so your brush is not too wet, okay? So this is important. Okay, here we are. And then I'm going to show you how to, so this white one, single ones are easier to paint. So I'm going to start with the single ones, okay? So just starting nearer your petal. So you go, the first petal is somewhere like here. So just outlining it, keeping your brush more center brush, okay? And then maybe in this case, I'm going to do this one first. And then I think the next one comes in front like that. Like that. And then you add this petal. There's all together, the single flower has 5 petals. So here we are. So like a plum, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go the stamen. We're only doing the black and white, so stamen. Next one is the flower stamen here. So this. And then add a little bit darker tone in the tip, and then adding a little this accent here. Okay, something like that is a flower. All right, so I'm going to show one part. Okay, it's a flower is looking like this kind of, so the camellia bud looks like this. This is very, so I'm going to just add maybe lighter tone. So just going to add here. Okay, something like this. And then maybe the leaves. Yeah, leaves is basically, so in this case here, so leaves are here, okay? So leaves are supporting the flower. Okay. So I'm going to introduce another style right after that. Okay, so if you, okay, I'm just going to do the black and white. All right, So here we are, lighter tone first. Loading is important in brush painting as well as execution. So lighter tone first. My brush is very light here. And then I'm going to add some dark tone in the tip. Okay, so and then I'm blending it again. And then take it off the water. So here we are. So the leaves works this way. So you do this here, and then do 2 strokes. And then you do this, and then you go and a little bit like this. Okay, and then I'm going to add, I can blot it a little bit because it's very wet. All right, so, and then you can also add another one with this. I think I still have, so it's another one you can use like here. 1. I still have the ink there. And then this. And then you come with the ending like this. Yeah, slightly like this. So, and then I'm going to add some more leaves. So it's 2-stroke thing, okay? I'm going to add some, yeah. 2, and then you come with the in this point, this side. So something like that. Sometimes you can overlap it like this 2, like this one. I can do different tone. You can overlap it a little bit like this. Yeah, slightly right. Okay, and then you can also do. I don't know if you're familiar with different hair brushes. Some are brown hair, some are mixture hair. So if you have a brown hairbrush, usually it has a better strength, so then you can use for the line. If you have several, okay. So then I'm going to do a little bit of stalks, and then I can continue to build more branches. I mean the leaves. So this one. So you have to figure out where you want your branches. You can come from here. Leave sometimes a little space because you want to add some leaves in front. And then you go, this one can come here. Okay, this one can go there. But before you do that more detail, there, I'm going to add a couple more leaves here because you don't want to see all the stalks by itself. So here, 1, 2, and then you come with a point like this. Okay. So in this one, you add little calyx here, calyx, like this. And then I'm going to add small leaves here. It's a smaller part. Okay, and then adding slightly different tone of the leaves this way. And then you go. You can introduce this one kind of attached from here. So you can. So. You can have another branches going through here. So that's the. Okay, then you can continue building up there. But then you can always introduce after that something, maybe another leaves going underneath here in the behind. Then you can add some lighter tone leaves. That gives you a little extra kind of depth of the leaves, the whole painting. So that one or two, couple of them, maybe another leaves can come out from here. And add another behind here. So those things makes it painting more, create extra depths. Okay, so I'm going to continue there, but then this is how you're building up. So, and then maybe half dry. If this is half dry, you can show a little bit in the middle veins like that. If you, that's optional, but you can do that if you would like to do it like this. Like this here. This. You know, if you sometimes it bleeds a little bit. Like this is one style, and then I can show you also the color one too, if you like. So we got time to show color one as well. Would you like that?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'll show you the colored one. So colored one example is, for example, yeah, okay. Okay. So I'm going to hide this one for now. Okay. All right. You can totally mix it to, so long as you do, you have a different branch, theoretically they can stay harmoniously together. So just wanna see a quick example here. So theoretically you can put two together like this. Yeah. And this one has also two together. Yeah. You introduce other branches. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to put a colored one maybe here. All right, so let's do that. The loading of the color is okay. So the same concept, same idea. So you have color, first color I have here. Sometimes it splashes, so make sure I have something else in the front. Okay. Clean my brushes. Okay, here we are. So we have one color here. And then I'm adding a slightly different color in the tip, a little bit thicker tone. So, and then you're blending it. So then I'm going to do the strokes. Okay. Strokes is basically, if it's something like this, okay, so you can do, theoretically, I tend to do a nearer one first. Let me see if I can attach this to, okay, here we are. So you have one petal. You can do two strokes or one stroke sometimes. Okay, and then you have another stroke here, 1 and 2. And then you have another 2. Make sure my weight works. Okay, here we are. And then you have another one here. And then you have there's five petals here together. So something like you can bring this one a little down. Yes. All right, then let it dry here a little bit. I have to let it dry a little bit in order to do that. because right now it's too wet. So meantime, I do a little, unless you do the black, okay, but it's better to wait. Okay, so then I'm going to do the leaves. So leaf, I can load it different. These are all transparent watercolor. It can be any make transparent watercolor. So mixing it different tone. I'm mixing a little bit of green and blue. Green and blue mixture. And then I'm adding a little bit of ink as well. Okay. So you have a deeper color this way. So here we are. You can also mix, if you like, a little bit of burnt sienna, then you get more this kind of tone. So like that. It's beautiful, deeper color. So leaves are done 1, 2 strokes, and then you come this way. So I have that, and then sometimes I have. So you want some variety leaves tone as well. Yeah, like that, and then some another leaves here. You can add. Some cases you want to do the leaves first and then flower. Okay, so you have 1 here. 2, and then you come this way. So then you can add, I'm adding a little more black. Okay, here, the other side, you can introduce some leaves are kind of overlapping here. I'm trying to attach these two together. Okay, so a little blending. Okay, and then another one, leaves, you can go here. Okay. Yeah, some cases you want to also overlap it a little bit further. Okay. Yeah. So this one. Okay. So then let's see how we can attach this. So I'm trying to integrate these two together. Not sometimes twice. Sometimes works, sometimes not working. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to bring it somewhere. Somewhere here. Sector here. And then I'm going to add from here, I can go another branch this way. So then you can add another branch is coming from this way. So this is how you can continue building up, but then add some leaves too in between. Okay, so it's no, depending on usually if you wanted to mix these two things, then also sometimes I like to integrate here some more, and then so you need to introduce some more leaves here. And then here. So I need to introduce some more flowers here and so on. Then if you want to hide some of the branches, you need to go with a darker tone of the leaves to hide these branches. Okay, if you don't want to see all these branches, then you can go here. You can go darker ink and cover it up like this. Okay. So that's how you continue building up, more complex idea. We still got time a little bit. Okay. So in the meantime, if you want to add your lemon, you want to, using the yellow. And then yellow. Kind of color here. Use so you go You have to wait until it dries a little bit and then work on this yellow, stem and thing. You can also do black, it stands out more. That's true. So that's the general idea, but I'm going to do this thing here. Before it dries, usually half dries, you add these veins so it can integrate. Okay. Anyhow, so that's the general idea, but I need to add some more leaves here. This one getting a little. Okay, let's see. Go a little more leaves here. Okay, and then you add some overlapping. Now this one is big leaves.
Didn't quite work.
This is bigger stalks here, so you can continue the building up this way. Okay, anyhow, so that's how usually, it takes a little while to building up. Sometimes you want to add bird or something, then you need to do the bird first and then you add it to building up. So it takes whole process. But our time is up, or is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Samsuk. Well, this is beautiful.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
So you can also add color if you like it here. Also, you can introduce a little bit of texture in the flower petal. That's also.
I also thought the two leaves that you have to the right of the red camellia flower were kind of greenish. It looks it's almost like the light is coming from the right with the flower and these two green leaves and so forth. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you are loading in different tones of the color. So that's why if you turn it on the right side a little bit, you introduce that part. So it's, flexible, and the brush need to be manipulated different ways. So brush painting is a lot of fun. Okay. Well, it takes a little exercise. But I didn't finish yet, but it just give you some idea how the process works. I like to see what you've done. Somebody posted it? No. I like to
Right.
see anyone
I
who,
could show you. I finished if you like.
yeah, I like to see it.
Louis. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm curious. Oh, wow. You did a pretty good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, you are very talented.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I do paint. I must say.
Oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
I was
All
so
right. Anyone else want to
mesmerized.
show?
I said I was so mesmerized. I just did this basic thing, I tried, but I could not make the leaves and all. I think this is the first
Oh,
time I'm
look. Oh, wow. Okay, let's have a look.
Thank you.
Where are
Yongqiang
you?
is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was really wondering the leaves, like it really looks very real. I was just looking at them.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Could you just show one leaf again? I mean, very slowly. If the time is there, if time permits.
trying to find you, but there's so many people in this
Oh, okay.
session.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so good luck for everything.
Yeah, thank you. Well, half an hour definitely is not enough.
I know. Yeah, you need 1.5 hours at least. Okay, 1 hour at least. Yeah.
Just to get to the leaf right. Yeah, but thank you, Sang-suk, so much. Next session in April, we will invite Sang-suk back for mostly focusing on birds. So we will see how that session, and looking forward to see everyone here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah.
Just a
Bye.
reminder, while the session will be, the recording will be uploaded on China Institute YouTube channel. So if you want to read the poem or see how the paintings are done, you can go back. It's all open and accessible. And hope to see everyone in April.